This is Cape Breton Accents,
I've been here for like 5 years. It just feels like home away from home.
a podcast hosted by CBU President David Dingwall that celebrates the stories and perspectives that make our community so vibrant and unique.
Yeah, because it's important that students take part in extracurricular activities.
From campus life to global impact, we're excited to share the stories that define Cape Breton University.
CBU is family, and you're going to love every minute of it.
On today's episode, we're joined by award-winning musician and CBU student, the famous Morgan Toney. Morgan, can you introduce yourself to our listening audience?
Absolutely.
Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Morgan Toney, and I'm a proud music major here at Cape Breton University. And I grew up in a loving community surrounded by a loving family in Waigama First Nation. And in 2015, I moved to Wagmatcook First Nation, about 15 minutes away. But I found a home here at Cape Breton University around 2018 and have been here ever since.
Great. I heard a story about a CBU music instructor. His name is Chris McDonald.
Yes.
How has he been?
Chris McDonald he changed my life, himself and Heather Sparlin, and they really created this passion for music in me I never thought I would discover. And Chris has been a wonderful mentor, a wonderful professor, and just amazing to be under his wing and to be instructed by him in class and even outside of class. Like I remember before the pandemic times, we would go to Governor's Pub on Wednesday nights. The whole music crew would come together and we would go down there and just listen to music and talk about music. And he's just a great guy to be around, very knowledgeable, and he's just been an amazing person in my life.
But you have music in your family, do you not?
I do, yeah. Music has always been in my family, and in the Toney family, there's lots of fiddle people. What did you call it? Fiddlers, I guess. My great uncle, actually 3 of my late great uncles played the fiddle, and my great grandfather played the fiddle. And then it kind of skipped past my mother's generation, and nobody played it. Like all my aunts and uncles, they never played the fiddle or the guitar. A little bit, but when it came down for me to learn, it was a really interesting story. So I remember when I talked to my mother about taking the music program here at Cape Breton University, she knew about our family story, but didn't want to mention it to me because she has never heard the fiddle in a very long time played in the house. So everyone kind of kept this from me until maybe it was about a month or 2 in the program, and I was learning something totally brand new to me. And I didn't know if I can keep going with it. I didn't find that passion yet. So I came back home and I told my mom, I said, I don't know if I can do this. I might have to take another program. It's just too much for me at this moment. And then she called a couple of her brothers, and they all came over. And
Who were they?
So my Uncle Bert, he's been a great person in my life, and my Uncle Fabian, he passed on now, and my Uncle Albert, they all came over to the house and told me about the story of how the Toneys kept the fiddle in the family. And it was very strong, and so we had the conversation, and they didn't want to tell me about that because, like I said, they never heard the fiddle in the house in a very long time. So after they told me that was the only motivation I needed to keep going. So I came back to CBU and I studied my butt off, and I went out to Governor's Pub and went to the Gaelic College, wherever I can be surrounded by the Cape Breton fiddle music, and I found my passion, and it was through the help of Heather and Chris.
It's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Wonderful story.
Thank
And
you.
you've played in many different communities in Cape Breton during that time?
Yeah, I did. It was mostly in the local gigs. Like my community in Wagmatcook would call me up to do shows, small little things. Waigama would call me to do small little things for them. And it all changed when I met one guy through my other cousin, Sebastian. His name is Keith Mullins. Keith Mullins, yeah, he's from Bedeck. So I got introduced to Keith, and I didn't know much about him at the time. I just knew that he recorded songs and he could sing and he can play the guitar like a madman. So I met him, and we just played fiddle music on a step for about 3 hours on a sunny, beautiful day in Bedeck. And there was something I was messing around with over here. I was in the Rotary Music Lab one day, and I was trying to learn as many Mi'kmaq songs as I can. So I found this one song called Wabigachij. Now, there's a couple of tune types in our culture. We have the honor song, of course, but we also have what we call the Gojua. The Gojua is a social dance that we have been doing for a very long time here in Unama'ki and across Mi'kmaq. And this particular song has its own dance. And I was messing around with this song on the fiddle and trying to bring that melody from my voice to this instrument that I was learning. I came up with something, and we had a show, Keith and I, in Wagamama one night, pancake night, big night. And we played, and I told Keith, I'm just going to try something. I don't know if it's going to work out, but these people are getting tired of hearing fiddle music for 2 hours, so we got to switch things up. So I brought that song out. And Keith has never heard anything like this before. I remember that conversation we had. He said, I never heard these two cultures coincide with one another in harmony, and it was just a beautiful thing. And so we recorded the song. So this is where it all began.
Isn't that wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
That's fabulous. So tell us a little bit about CBU and your attachment to CBU. You've met Chris and you met others. You've played. You've used the music room that we have here on the campus. But tell us about that alignment with CBU and you.
Well, a lot of my family members came to CBU in the past. And CBU has just a wonderful reputation of just being beautiful to their students. You know, they get treated well here. And I went to other universities before I came here, but there was nothing like Cape Breton University. I remember the first time I came in those doors, I was greeted automatically, and I was treated like family, and that meant a lot to me. For someone coming from where I came from to a whole different place, I know I'm not far away from home, but it felt like I was a million miles away. But to be treated like family here and realizing that I do have a family here at Cape Breton University, whether that is students, whether that's staff, the president, you know, you feel welcome when you come into those doors. And I think it's a great move for students to come here. And I really felt that, and I still feel it. Even though I'm not studying right now, I am coming back in September, but even today when I came in, I felt that welcoming feeling. I get goosebumps right now thinking about it. It's just a beautiful thing to be here.
Great.
Yeah.
So share with us how your Mi'kmaq heritage has influenced your music. You told us about the story in Bedeck with Keith, which I think is outstanding. But in terms of fusing the Mi'kmaq songs and the fiddle tunes, that must have been so inspiring for you.
It was. And what really hit me hard is when we came to Wamacook, we did a little show there, and just seeing the youth react to it. Like, they heard these songs throughout their childhood, but to hear it played in a different way and to see their reaction to it, that's what really hit Keith and I really hard. And just to see our elders, like, we go to our elders for everything, you know, whether that is, if that's for lyrics or we need guidance on a particular song or a particular topic, we go to our elders. And we were kind of worried at first to go to them because we weren't changing anything, but we were just putting our music out in a different way, you know. And they appreciated it, they loved it, and they approved of it. And so I really felt this connection to myself because I grew up not speaking the language. Like, English is my first language. And that's because of the Indian residential schools, you know, my family members went to, and they just didn't speak it. So when I discovered that I can sing these songs, and it's okay that I don't know the language, but I'm learning the language through singing and going to our elders and going to our team and just asking, hey, what do these words mean in Mi'kmaq? How can I translate these lyrics?
It must be awfully inspiring for you to go to see an elder and an elder to see you. They must be inspired because they see so much talent.
Yeah, it's a beautiful support group of elders that we have back home.
What does it mean to you to carry on the legacy of your family's musical traditions?
It means a lot to me, and I feel it. I always get reminded of it every time I run into somebody from back home in my community, Wagamama, and hearing that you are carrying the legacy, of your great grandfather or your Uncle Peter, Uncle Simon. It hits me hard. It really does, because I wish I got to be in their time and just be surrounded by them and to hear them play. But at the end of the day, my family is really appreciative of what I'm doing, and that means a lot to me. And hopefully, I can keep this legacy going. Maybe someday soon, I'll have children of my own, and I can pass the torch on, because it's a real important thing to keep the torch going and keep the torch lit, especially with our youth. And so I'm always thinking about our youth and thinking about our elders. And
So what's in store for you in the immediate future? I mean, you've won some regional, national awards, you cutting songs, music, etc. What's next?
What's next? We're going to Folk and Lines International. It's a big music conference. It's going to be in Montreal in February. And we got a couple of new shows coming up. We're traveling across the country. I am going back I want to start my studying again in September, so I'm really excited for that. But other than that, we have a brand new album coming out in March. And the album is called Heal the Divide. I don't know if I was allowed to say that, but I did it anyway. And it's just going to be an amazing part of our journey for our listeners to hear, because they're going to hear our growth as musicians and as individuals, as artists, going from our first album, First Flight, to what's going to be coming out soon. It's going to be a big change, and I'm really excited to share it with the world.
Sounds very, very interesting. And behalf of CBU and all our students and all our faculty, thank you for being on our show today. I'm sure the listening audience will be very much appreciative of everything that you do for CBU, do for the community, and certainly for our Mi'kmaq friends.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.